In the early hours of dawn, Los Angeles awoke to a scene few expected. Doors breaking down, flashing lights, and federal agents swarming warehouses, markets, and restaurants. By August 2025, America's immigration enforcement entered an entirely new phase. ICE, backed strongly by the Trump administration, launched one of the most decisive campaigns in modern history, targeting undocumented immigrants who had been operating in plain sight across America's largest cities. From Los Angeles to New York, from Chicago to Houston, the scale was unprecedented. Over 149,000 undocumented immigrants were detained nationwide by the end of July, with nearly 50,000 of those arrests happening in just 8 weeks leading up to August. This was not just an enforcement push, it was a message to the world. America is serious about its borders, its security, and its sovereignty. In this video, we break down the shocking IC sweeps that shook Chinese markets, restaurants, and nightclubs, uncovering fake IDs, fraud, trafficking networks, and the real cost of illegal immigration in our country. Hi. Before we continue, one click on the subscribe button fuels all the effort behind this and every future video. Let's break it down. The raids did not happen overnight. They were months in the making, strategically coordinated and executed with precision. ICE agents worked under disguise, sometimes posing as health inspectors, to enter suspicious businesses. Once inside, their real purpose became clear: arresting individuals without proper documentation and uncovering the criminal networks that had embedded themselves deep within America's urban communities. In Los Angeles, a viral video captured the moment ICE stormed through a Chinese market. Shoppers screamed, doors were forced open, and agents removed security cameras to prevent evidence tampering. Within minutes, dozens were detained, and nearly 2,000 individuals in that area alone faced possible deportation. What looked like a simple raid on a local market was, in fact, part of a broader strategy to dismantle underground operations, producing fake driver's licenses and laundering money through restaurants and spas. By the first week of August 2025, ICE's momentum was undeniable. Hundreds of arrests were reported across Texas, California, and New York. In states like Texas, cooperation with local jails sped up the detention process. But in blue states such as New York, ICE had to operate more directly, often facing pushback from local authorities who resisted federal immigration enforcement. Still, the results spoke for themselves. According to the Department of Homeland Security, ICE detention centers reached historic highs, holding over 60,000 individuals at once. And while critics argued that many detainees were non-criminals, ICE officials stressed that their top priority remained criminals involved in drug trafficking, fraud, human smuggling, and even embezzlement. In fact, in August alone, ICE agents captured Chinese nationals tied to financial crimes and drug distribution networks, proving that these operations were about far more than paperwork violations. One particularly striking case unfolded in Los Angeles, where ICE uncovered a sophisticated network creating fake identification documents. Dozens were arrested in connection with the operation, highlighting how illegal immigration often feeds larger webs of fraud that compromise national security and public trust. Supporters of the raids emphasized their necessity. On social media, some Americans applauded ICE for protecting jobs and restoring order. The account Wall Street Apes shared a story from a Los Angeles nurse who described how emergency room waiting areas suddenly emptied because undocumented immigrants were afraid to use public services. That post alone gained nearly 50,000 likes, proof of how deeply the raids affected immigrant behavior and how urgently Americans wanted accountability. But ICE's work was not without criticism. Videos circulated online showing heavily armed agents waiting outside courthouses and restaurants. Some questioned whether arresting individuals on the spot was fair or humane, especially when families were separated and children born in the U.S. faced losing their parents. Protests erupted in Chicago and New York, with local leaders demanding an end to what they called mass detentions. Immigrant rights organizations argued that many of the detained individuals were fleeing persecution and violence in their home countries, not looking to commit crimes. Still, the Trump administration stood firm. The president made it clear: America cannot allow its laws to be ignored. its communities infiltrated, and its citizens put at risk by unchecked illegal immigration. ICE echoed this stance, pointing to dozens of drug traffickers, fraudsters, and smugglers captured during the campaign. The scope of ICE's campaign went beyond crime and legality. It affected local economies. Chinese restaurants and markets in Los Angeles reported revenue losses between 30% and 50% as customers avoided areas known for raids. Supply chains were disrupted, and some businesses shut down temporarily. But to ICE and its supporters, this disruption was necessary. The short-term fear in certain communities paled in comparison to the long-term protection of American jobs, wages, and safety. The raids also revealed the extent of coordination behind illegal immigration. In one case,
New at 11, a Homeland Security investigation bust in Los Angeles. According to a post on X, 36 Chinese and Taiwanese nationals were arrested for being illegally present in the United States. Video shows them here detained, handcuffed, and being loaded onto vans. No word on the exact location. According to the post, the arrests were made during an enforcement operation in an underground nightclub with the cooperation of various federal agencies.
ICE detained 36 Chinese and Taiwanese nationals at an underground nightclub. The individuals were connected not only to illegal entry, but also to sex trafficking and drug distribution. Evidence showed that criminal enterprises were using immigrant flows to mask far more dangerous operations. This was not simply about people crossing a border for work. It was about cartels and global networks embedding themselves in American cities. Opposition voices pointed to another troubling number. Over 60% of August arrests involved individuals with no criminal record. Was ICE being too broad in its sweep? Officials countered that undocumented presence itself was a violation, and each illegal entry placed strain on America's schools, hospitals, and law enforcement. The question remained, should America wait until crimes are committed or act first to prevent them? ICE chose prevention. Online debates reflected the division. Some posts celebrated the raids as long overdue, while others condemned them as heavy-handed. Yet, the fact remained that these operations revealed layers of illegal activity hidden behind seemingly ordinary storefronts. Fraudulent IDs, drug money, and trafficking victims were not anomalies. They were part of a system thriving in the shadows. And ICE, for all its critics, had ripped the curtain back. Even within Chinese-American communities, the impact was complex. While some businesses suffered losses, others quietly supported ICE's actions, knowing that organized crime had been extorting or controlling parts of their neighborhoods for years. Removing illegal actors, even at great cost, offered the hope of safer streets and freer commerce. Looking at the bigger picture, August 2025 became a turning point. For decades, immigration enforcement was treated as background policy, debated, but rarely enforced with force. Under Trump's leadership, that changed. With ICE empowered and resourced, the agency made clear that America's borders do not end at the crossing point. They extend into every community, every city, every illegal network operating inside the country. The story of these ICE sweeps is not just about arrests. It is about America's right to sovereignty, safety, and the rule of law. Whether you agree with every tactic or not, the results are undeniable. Hundreds of criminals taken off the streets, fraudulent operations dismantled, and a clear signal sent to those who think our laws can be ignored. The question now is simple. Should America back down or double down on protecting its borders and communities?